Behind bars this morning, named in a federal racketeering indictment along with 47 others.
3 weeks ago, mob boss Joey Merlino was cruising around the Jersey Shore in a $500,000 Rolls-Royce. Thursday morning in Boca Raton, Florida, he was riding in the back of an FBI van headed to federal prison. Fox 29 cameras were there in Margate as Merlino enjoyed what could be his last days at the Jersey Shore for a long time. Now he stands indicted along with 47 others in a massive federal racketeering indictment that stretches from New York to Florida.
I was told that not only will you hear these guys, but you will see these guys. Apparently the technology is real sophisticated, and so it's audio and videotapes.
The charges date back to 2011 when Merlino first got out of prison on a federal racketeering conviction here in Philly. The indictment charges everything from racketeering to gambling, loan sharking, arson, and firearms offenses, as well as healthcare fraud.
All right, so of course everyone's asking what's next for Joey. Let's bring in Dave Schratweiser, who's been covering this story. Hi, Dave.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you? This story reminds me of that phrase, old habits die hard.
Yeah, you know, just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in. And in this situation, everybody thought Joey Merlino was nice and comfortable riding around the shore in that Rolls-Royce and, you know, not going to get back involved. And here we have a huge indictment with almost 4 dozen defendants out of New York. Big case up and down the East Coast here. All kinds of things. The wise guys like to call this, though, racketeering light. There are no murders in this indictment, so we'll see what they do with these cases. In New York, they like to plead these cases out. Here in Philadelphia, they like to try them. It would be interesting to see if Merlino decides to go to trial on this and how much time he could get. He could get a lot, and don't forget he's 54 years old. I've heard numbers upwards of 10 to 15 years. If that happens here, could be the end of Joey Merlino. You know, we'll see what happens.
Now, Dave, of course, you and George did mob talk for years and years and years. You've covered, you know, the mob in our area for, you know, decades. Did you think that something like this was going to happen? You should have been on the tail of what's happening with Joey recently, in the recent months. Did you think there could be something like this breaking?
Well, we heard rumors about an indictment out of Florida in New York as long ago as 8 or 9 months ago. It's been sealed. Not sure exactly how long they've been on to Merlino, but you see the charges date back to 2011. That's when he first got out of prison. He was in a halfway house, then he moved to Florida. He's been up and down here in Philadelphia and at the Jersey Shore for the past 5 or 6 months or so. A lot of the wise guys have been around him. I'm sure this morning they're wondering, you know, am I going to get caught up in this? Am I being mentioned on these tapes? Was I seen on these tapes? Things like that. There are investigations ongoing here in Philadelphia, and there are some investigations being conducted by state authorities, not just the FBI. So there could be more charges here. George said last night, and I heard the same thing, that, you know, there's a second and a third wave here that we're hearing about as well.
Yeah, Dave, one of the things the charges brought against him was something with some prescription cream.
Skin creams.
Right.
Which was a weird thing for me to read about.
Well, yeah, it is. It doesn't say what that is or where they were doing it. This indictment does not have a lot of specifics in it. Interestingly, one of the wise guys said to me last night, you know, this is a cream that you can get at a doctor with a prescription for $40, but if you sell it on the street, you can get $800. Was that what they were doing? We don't know. We don't know what the cream was all about. It's just described as a prescription compound cream. That could be anything. We're not really sure what that is. Until the charges get fleshed out in court, we really won't know what that is, but that seems to have a little bit of intrigue, at least with the mob guys and surely with the public. What was this stuff?
No, they're just evolving over time. You just switch your racket, whatever it is. Skin creams and cigarettes from things in the past. Dave.
No doubt about it. Look, they're into making money. George said this last night. They're into everything from payday loans, mortgages. They even have some construction training schools set up and down the East Coast, things like that. Anything that will make them cash and make them a lot of cash in a hurry, they're into. And you'll see that. More white-collar stuff, white-collar crime, than the usual, you know, murders and mayhem. We haven't had a mob murder here in a long time here in Philadelphia, and none of these indictments have included that kind of violence. That's why they call them racketeering light. I talked to Eddie Jacobs, Joey's lawyer, last night, and he told me, not a lot of specifics here, but I got to tell you, just looking at this case, these are cases we usually win. Jacobs is in town today. We hope to talk to him. We'll see if he has more to say on this later on today.
Okay, we know you'll be all over that story. Thank you so much, Dave Schratweiser.
Good to see you.